So my brother and I have decided that we're going to dive this section of the Westfield River below the Woronoco Dam. And we're doing it because we want to investigate the critters that we can find in this big pool. There's another big pool up above, and just beyond that would be Woronoco Falls. What we're going to do is we're going to enter here, head out to that gravel bar, come on back over, and then head up to where we've got the spill in. I almost guarantee you we're going to sneak up on some trout, but we'll also probably see lampreys and smallmouth bass. Now, my brother has a degree in aquatic entomology. He does. I'm not joking. And he teaches with me at West Springfield High School. So he's good to have. He was already telling me about these little critters out here called whirligigs, and he said that they actually migrate. I did not know that beetles migrated. Did you know that beetles migrated? And those are also predators, those little freaks. They eat nymphs, the same kind of thing that trout eat. I wonder what size. The point is, the sun is coming out, the thunderstorm's gone by, here comes Steve, and we're going out, and we're going to see what we can see at the bottom of this pool. So below Woronoco Falls, or as the locals call it, Salmon Falls, are two pools. One is the factory pool where the spillway from the power plant and the factory go into, and that's the upper pool. And then there's this pool, which is the lower pool. They're more like ponds than pools. And of course, we are talking about a factory complex, and you saw that tire go by a moment ago. So in the water here, we got fairly good visibility, and if you're wondering what the temperature of the water was, it was probably 75. It was a really comfortable dive. Here we have a smallmouth bass swimming along, and there were a bunch of smallmouths in the river in this portion. There's a dam just above the second pool, above the waterfall, Salmon Falls, and that dam prevents anything from getting up above. There's no lift on it. So I noticed that there may be some bass above that, but there's not a lot. Down below that dam, though, the Westfield River has a good amount of smallmouth bass and even an occasional largemouth. Now my brother finally gets in the water and joins me, and he's not wearing his snorkel because it had one of those things on it, purge valve, that was causing him to choke, so he decided he would just dive with the goggles like he's 8 years old, but he's got the big flippers, so he's flying along like a seal. Those big flippers give you a lot of power. I should have worn them myself. Darn it. But you can see that we're now on the left side of the river heading upstream. You can see the wicked rock ledge that's probably 18 feet high, and it drops down. And there's a smallmouth down there we're looking at. And I dive down to check them out. There's a lot of sand on the bottom of this river. Now, some of that sand might be sand that's getting into the river as the result of road runoff, sand that we dump on the roads to prevent, people from sliding to their deaths. Here we come up on some structure, and you can see a bunch of pumpkin seeds or bream or shell crackers. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of them. And they're hanging around there. They love wood structure, and they love to be able to get out of the sun and somewhere that they can hide. And I check out in there, seeing if I can find any crayfish or anybody else hiding. And you can see there's also quite a bit of algae in this pool. Now, I've never dove here before, and I don't know how deep this is. Even today, after this dive, we don't know how deep it is. It might have been 30 feet deep for all we know. It's a substantial pool. And the ledge on the left, which is what I'm moving up, is coupled with sandbanks. There's big areas where the sand has piled up. Now I'm swimming up, getting into the riprap, and this is where I've typically done pretty good in the spring and summer if I fish for them, for trout. I'll get trout right over the lip there. They'll be hanging out, and it's nice and clear, and the water's running in, and you can see I got a little bit of current. This is the first tongue coming in from the pool above. So this is the least of the two tongues. There's not a lot of current here, but there's a little, and you can see we got a high amount of oxygen coming in. So you're going to have a potential to have trout in here. Didn't see any. I was kind of shocked. Maybe we scared them coming in, or maybe they moved up above. I kind of feel like they moved up above to the second pool and got underneath the waterfall. Oh, but now I see something. Who's that, I say? Is that a big rainbow? No, this is the first time in years and years and years that I've seen shad underwater in the river. When I was a kid, 16, 17, I used to dive under the Westfield River Dam, and I'd see them there. And look at these beautiful shad. Really the great fish of the Connecticut River drainage system. These guys are anadromous. That means they come up the river from the ocean in the spring to spawn. And it's the middle of July, and they're still swimming around, so these guys are a little late in leaving. Now, unlike some salmon, because you guys probably are aware, there's my brother, I'm like, come over here quick, we got shad. But you probably know that some salmon, especially the ones up in Alaska, will go up the river and then die as a result of their spawning efforts. Well, most of our shad in the Connecticut River system make it back to the ocean. They don't come up and die. So I got my brother behind me. We're sneaking along into the second tongue, which is where the majority of the current is, and it's pretty hard. I got to grab the rocks and pull myself along. And I'm looking for shad. Are there any more shad in there? There's got to be. There they are. That was a small amount, I think, that I just saw. It could have been a trout. I can't tell now. Here's the shad. Look at them. Right under the lip, inside that little nook. And you know what that nook is? That nook is what's called a lamprey nest. There's dozens and dozens of them like that in this portion of the river. The lamprey make big nests, 5-6 feet deep. You can see the little pebbles where the lamprey has exposed by moving the big rocks. And that's where they lay their eggs. They must need a lot of oxygen to spawn. But point is, here I am coming up over one of those nooks again, looking down into another lamprey bed. Now, there were no lampreys up here today. I was bumming because I really wanted to snorkel with the lampreys, which is kind of an edgy thing to do because they are a parasitic critter, and they, like shad, are anadromous. They come up out of the ocean, sea lampreys they call them, and they spawn here a little bit later than the shad. I usually see them in late June, where the shad have mostly completed their spawning by the middle of June. So the shad are usually gone from the river when the lampreys are really just starting to make their nests. So after checking out that spill-in, we went out into the pool, and my brother and I dove down deep to see what we could see down there. And like I say, it's deeper than you expect. And when you're diving in a river, you never know what you're going to find. So I'm kind of not a fan of going down really deep in the river. And the Westfield River gets a lot of fishing pressure. And here's something that you have to remember if you decide you want to get out and snorkel in a river. That is, beware of fishing line. Big balls of fishing line, or fishing line from somebody that got stuck on a rock. They could be using that carbon fiber stuff, and that'll hold you down and drown you if you don't have a knife on you. And I always have a knife in my pocket when I'm diving, just in case, or one strapped to my leg. So after going down and exploring the deeper water, we move over along the edge to check out what's going on over there. And here's one of those sandbanks I was telling you about. Sometimes the result of road runoff and sometimes agricultural runoff. There are some fields up above this pool where farmers are still working the soil. So sandbanks are part of the game. And I think they're natural in rivers. Rivers eutrophy just like lakes as they meander. And as the Westfield River comes down out of its gorge, it starts making some meanders. Anyways, that was a great dive, and we're done with it at this point. And so what I decided to do here is I sent out my drone boat. I got this drone boat. It's a boat for carp fishing. It's got these little dump truck features on it, so you can send it out like 1,500 feet from where you are. And push a button and you can dump fish food. So if you're fishing for carp, you could dump your corn or your bait that you were using and try to attract the carp to where you're still fishing. You can also release a fishing lure. So I have hooked up a camera to it, so I'm going along the center of the pool between the two tongues where we just dove. And the shad were on the right tongue that you're looking at. Look at the tongue to the right of that little island in the middle. And the pumpkin seed and the rocky structure that we were looking at was on the left. So if you're liking these dive videos, you're going to love the next one I've got coming for you, because I got quite a bunch of surprises as I took on the Farmington River on a boiling hot day, and I'm excited to bring you that next on Fishing Historic Places.